to Marty Party.
I want to talk about goals. I'm a big believer in having an azimuth, a compass direction that you follow through your year. I think it's really hard to go through life. I'm getting hoarse here. Yeah, keep this coffee going. Not the best coffee I've ever had or ever made, but it's doing the job. I need to up my coffee game again. It's been a minute since I quit working for one of a great coffee company. My coffee game has slipped a little bit. Need to up it again. Wet the whistle. All right. Ow now, brown cow. Keep this going. Keep the voice crisp. All right. So goals, 2025. I want to do a little after action review of my 2025 goals. So I have those on my phone here. I'm going to read off some of these. So I start off with goal themes for the year. My themes for 2025 were to be healthier, to lose weight. I'm a little bit heavier than I want to be, to read more. I do a lot of reading for work, but I want to read more books. I read so many articles and do so much research that I don't get as many books read as I'd like to. So many books behind me here I need to get through. So read more, decrease debt. We were still carrying some debt at the beginning of this year. My wife's student loans, vehicles, things like, it's a lot of the normal stuff, but I wanted to really take a big chunk out of that. I wanted to focus more on family. At the time I was working a job where I had to travel a lot. And when I was home, I was commuting across the country almost every week. And so when I was home, I wanted to do a better job of being present and not just chaining myself to the desk while I was home as well, on top of being gone all the time. And I wanted to focus on self-discipline. I put that in all caps because I think a lot of my issues, and I think this is probably true for a lot of people, stem from what you need to do, the right thing to do, but you don't do it. For a variety of different reasons. So having that self-discipline to do the shit that you need to do, I think was absolutely crucial. And so I kind of bolded that one. So those are the goal themes. And then I get into specific goals here. There's a few that are kind of highly personal that I don't necessarily want to put out to the world. So I'm going to skip through a few. But starting with one here, run a half marathon. No, fuck it. We'll do the personal ones too. I want you guys to trust me here and know where my head's at. First one was get my wife pregnant. We've got 2 little daughters and we had a goal to have a third one. It's not a super straightforward process for us. And so that's why it was a goal and not just something we did. For a lot of people, it's just, hey, go conceive a baby, go bump some uglies and make a baby. For us, it's a little bit more of a thought out process and something that we've got to involve some medical folks in and all of that sort of stuff because of some complications from my wife's earlier deliveries. And so that was a goal. Next goal was run a half marathon. I wanted to start training in April and run a specific marathon, the Seacoast Half Marathon here in New Hampshire in October. It was on my birthday this year, and I thought that'd be a really cool goal. I wanted to get back up to deadlifting 400 pounds again. I've had some back issues from stemming from a few different things that happened while I was in the military, but it's been a little bit hard for me to deadlift like I used to. Some people don't believe in deadlifting at all. I wanted to get back up to a 400 pound deadlift. I wanted to lose 1 pound per week. I thought that was really achievable, ending at 224 by basically today. I wanted to finish a Norwegian 30K ruck march that I do in Minnesota, out in Minneapolis every year with a couple of my friends, an old ranger buddy of mine and another ranger. I didn't serve with him, but he's a former ranger as well that lives in the area. I wanted to read 12 plus books. I wanted to re-release a trade paperback version of my first book, Violence of Action. I wanted to hike Mount Washington out here. I wanted to reduce my total non-mortgage debt by at least 50%. I wanted to watch every movie that's won Best Picture at the Academy Awards since the beginning of the Academy Awards in the 20s. I wanted to successfully fill a deer tag this year. I didn't do that. I hadn't done that in 2024, so I wanted to make sure I filled a deer tag this year. It's hard up here in New Hampshire, man. It's a totally different style of hunting than what I grew up with in South Dakota. So it's been a challenge for me out here. Wanted to buy some new furniture for the house. I'm not going to list off every specific item that we wanted to do. We just had recently, at the beginning of this year, we'd only been in the current house that we're in for about a year at that point, because we moved in Christmas 2023. So yeah, at the time of these goals, we'd been in the house for a year and it kind of figured out different pieces of furniture that we needed to add to the house to be a little bit more comfortable. Wanted to run a 5K with my daughter, Lydia. I'd already been running for a while. I just wanted to do one with my daughter, Lydia. Want to take an international family vacation. Wanted to get my home gym set up in the garage, squat rack, all that stuff. I didn't have any of that. And I wanted to sign my next book deal. And then I had 3 stretch goals for 2025. Renovate my basement, reach 50,000 followers on Instagram. That's a little bit of a vanity metric, you might say. It's specifically because I need to grow my platform as an author, and that's going to help me get better book deals. It's going to help me sell more books. The more of a platform that I have, the better. It's part of my motivation in starting these podcasts, grow my platform, get my name and face out there a little bit more so I can be a more successful author. And then start jujitsu. I did jujitsu when I was in the military a little bit. I got my level 1 and level 2 certifications in the Army, and then just never really followed up with it after I got out of the Army by joining a jujitsu gym or anything like that. And so I wanted to get going in that again. So did I accomplish all of those? Hell no. Did not accomplish all of those. Did not get my wife pregnant. Wasn't the year for that. And I'll talk a little bit more about how the year actually went, but did not get my wife pregnant, did not run a half marathon. I haven't tested my deadlift. I think I am at over 400 pounds. Again, I've been using the 5-3-1 program to lift this year. And, I did like 325 for 14 reps the other day as my top set, to failure on the 5-3-1 program the other week. So I think that puts me, when you do the math on that, I think that puts me over a 400 pound deadlift. So I think I accomplished that one. I just haven't done a 1 rep max test on that to verify it. I did not lose 1 pound per week. I am starting the year roughly 10 pounds heavier than I began the year. Not fucking happy about that. Really just, again, self-discipline. I did finish a Norwegian 30K ruck march. I was really happy with that. That was a lot of fun out there. Second year doing it. And I did not read 12 books, unfortunately. Read a few, but not 12. I did not get the new trade paperback version of Violence of Action out. I did not hike Mount Washington. I did not reduce my total non-mortgage debt by at least 50%. I did not watch every movie that's won Best Picture at the Academy Awards. We got through 12 or 13 of them, and we just didn't keep up with it. So, we'll carry that into the new year. I did not successfully fill a deer tag. I'll get into more of that later. Didn't get a lot of the furniture. Got some of the furniture we were looking to get. Didn't get all of it. I did run a 5K with my daughter, Lydia. We did that, the Thanksgiving turkey trot. That was a lot of fun. Beat her by 2 minutes. Told her she's got to beat me next year. We did take an international family vacation for the very first time. Went to Costa Rica. It was a lot of fun. Had a complete blast down there. It was so cool to do a trip like that with my kids. I did get my home gym set up out there in the garage, squat rack, the whole 9 yards, put some horse stall mats down. It's fucking awesome, man. I'm super excited about it. It's part of the reason I've been able to make some good gains on the lifting program, is because I have that right there behind me. And then I did sign my next book deal. I'm working on a book about rucking with Jason McCarthy right now from Go Ruck. So pretty excited about that. And then out of the stretch goals, I did actually do one of them. I did start jujitsu. I ended up having another medical issue this year. I discovered a pretty large cyst on my back that has prevented me from going into jujitsu more recently, and some other things that have happened that have kept me away from it. But I got started, been on a little bit of a pause. I'm going to get right back after it. I'm really anxious to start getting those first stripes as a white belt and really learn and further ingrain myself in the jiu-jitsu community here in New Hampshire. So a lot of big goals there. Why didn't I accomplish a lot of these things? Well, I want to talk about the year a little bit. I put a post out the other day talking about it. It's been a little bit rough for me this second half of this year. This first half of the year started off awesome. I was the VP of social media and influencers, social media strategy, all that stuff at Black Rifle Coffee. It was a big career goal of mine to make it to that VP level to become a marketing executive. That was after I left kind of the day-to-day journalism behind. That was a huge leap for me to go from that into marketing and being an executive in that space and apply a lot of what I'd learned over the years. And, I was working on these challenging problems. It was not an easy job, very challenging, but I loved the work. I loved the people that I was doing it with, and it challenged me every day, and I loved it. We took that vacation. We got a new puppy. I signed my new book deal. Had a lot of really good things. I got a lot of dental work done, did a full blood panel that gave me a lot of answers on why I've been feeling a certain way about a lot of different things, to include the weight gain. I got some answers and a path forward. The first half of the year was so positive. And then at almost exactly the midpoint, end of June, early July, I departed my position at Black Rifle Coffee. That was pretty hard. I had to say goodbye to a lot of close friends and teammates over there that I really loved working with. And the puppy that we'd got started getting Giardia on repeat. And so I couldn't get more than an hour or two of sleep at a time. And it was worse than having a newborn. It was every night, multiple times a night. I'm wake up to a barking puppy that had shit all over her crate, spraying diarrhea everywhere, and cleaning that up multiple times a night, multiple times a day. And it would go away for a couple of days with medication from the vet. Take her to the vet, get some medication. Oh, it's gone for a couple of days, and then it started all over again. We couldn't get rid of it. Tried a lot of different things. It was tough. My wife had a medical scare, a medical emergency that she could have very easily lost her life over. And that was tough. She ended up having to stay in the ICU for 3 or 4 days, and that was really tough. We got some tough news about another family member that has just recently passed away. We had multiple, right after my wife got out of the emergency or from the ICU. The puppy, the aforementioned puppy, we'd finally kicked Giardia. She went and ate a fucking ball of yarn. She's a purebred black lab. If you know anything about dogs, she's like the pinnacle black lab that just is very food motivated, very mouthy. She got into some yarn, and we discovered a string coming out of her butt. And yep, it was bad. We took her in, and they were like, yep, this is bad. Had to put her into emergency surgery. That got an $8,000 emergency vet bill. On top of that, my truck had to go into the shop for fixes. So I was driving a fucking rental car that sucked that I could barely fit in for a while. And that was an expensive fix too, even with insurance. Fucking insurance, man. I got real heartache about all varieties of insurance these days. I'm sorry if you're an insurance agent, but I got some real strong opinions about that business model these days. But the truck had to go into the shop. Our furnace broke. That was an expensive fix. Our dryer broke. Multiple attempts to try to get that delivered in snow and stuff. These are just things off the top of my head, again, just repeated medical emergencies of both pets and humans. And it was like everything that could go wrong did go wrong. All while I'm trying to, some positive things happened. Like I went to a couple of Vikings games. That was awesome. And, I got subject matter expert going, my new podcast, and I'm starting this one now. So there was some positive things, but by and large, I really slipped into a very negative mental health space. I was not my best self as I was dealing after it. I think I just got crisis fatigue. It was crisis after crisis after crisis. And I'm still tired. I'm still trying to rebound from all of that. And I'm trying to tell myself, new year, it's going to get easier. It's just, I feel like I'm standing at the bottom of a deep well, and it's like, okay, only place to go, just start climbing, 1 foot in front of the other. You've done hard shit before. You're no stranger to doing hard things. I've been through a lot in my life, and I can get through this too. And some of these problems I could even call some of the non-health things that are the champagne problems. Like, oh, boohoo, your furnace broke. Well, you at least own a house, and it's a nice house. So some of these things are like champagne problems that I would have loved to have had 10, 15 years ago, So And that's affected my writing, all of that. It's affected my ability to accomplish some of my goals. I've just been constantly stressed out. I've been a very short temper, just not the person I wanted to be. And it's affected every facet of my life. And that's why I didn't accomplish a lot of goals. So 2026 has to be better. All right. That's the 2025 AR. A lot of room to improve. Didn't accomplish some goals that I set out to accomplish. Not all of them. And so we got to do better in 2026. All right. So let me walk you through, first of all, my philosophy around goal setting. All right. You can use this. So I'm a big believer in goal setting. Obviously, we've already talked about that, especially around the new year. I get very nostalgic this time of the year. Even for this New Year's Eve for me was very negative because it's just been through so much. It's been hard for me to see the light recently. And even still a little bit nostalgic. I still captured some of that magic. And this is when I do my goal setting. And I encourage all my kids and nieces and nephews and siblings to set goals as well. And I like to start off with themes. Okay, what are the themes? Be healthier, lose weight, read more, right? These aren't specific. They're just the themes for the year. You got to set, what are your themes this year? What are the things that the general ideas, the thesis statements that you're going to rally around in order to accomplish these other goals? And so once you have your themes written down, from there, you want to use the SMART acronym. Well, some of you people that maybe come from corporate America and things like that maybe have heard this before, but SMART stands for specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. Okay? So your goals need to meet all or most of those, or your set of goals should represent all of those things. Not every one of them needs to be measurable, but many of them should be. Not every one of them needs to be time-bound, but most of them should be. Time-bound might just be, hey, I want to do this in 2026. Measurable might be not just lose weight, but I want to lose X amount of pounds. Achievable, it's like, hey, if you're not currently in the astronaut program, then setting the goal of like, I'm going to go walk on the moon is maybe not an achievable goal for you. If you're not currently in the astronaut program, right? Like set achievable, realistic goals and relevant. How are these going? The specific goals, using the SMART acronym, how are they going to support your themes for the year to move you closer to your long-term strategic goals, which are another set of goals. These are sort of inter-year goals. You should have your long year, like 5-year, 10-year type goals as well. How are these building up to that? And how are they making you the person that you want to be? The person that you want to look at in the mirror every morning, right? Like I think a lot about that. So goal setting doesn't need to necessarily be so formal. I tend to myself make it a little bit formal, but it doesn't need to be super formal. But you should write them down, I think, all the same. And if you need a place to start, these are a few prompts that maybe you can use. Think about the different categories of goals that you might use. These might be derived from your themes. You might start other categories, though, outside of the themes. Some of the categories that I kind of break mine down into are professional or career goals, physical or athletic goals, education goals, relationship goals, spiritual or religious goals, mental health goals, financial goals, family goals, travel goals, and personal interest goals, right? Those are kind of the different categories for me. So I try to get at least one goal that is using the SMART acronym into each of those and have it support one of the themes I have for the year, if that makes sense. I think it's okay if you have a very mundane set of goals. Like if one of your goals is just organize the basement, or organize the garage, that's okay. That's a perfectly acceptable goal. For me, one of the years it was like go to the dentist because I hadn't been to the dentist for years and I paid for that dearly later on. But 1 year, one of my goals was just like literally make an appointment to go to the fucking dentist, super achievable, right? Like not everything needs to be huge and all that, So you should also have a few, while still achievable, but BHAGs, big, hairy, audacious goals. All right. I did not come up with that term, but it's a good one. Big, hairy, audacious goals. Like I want to run an ultra marathon and maybe all I can do right now is run a 5K or a local mile, right? You can do that in a year's time. That's still achievable. You're going to work your ass off if you want to do that, but you can achieve that. And that's a big, hairy, audacious goal. Make $1 million and you currently work at McDonald's or something like that, right? Like not completely unrealistic. You can do that. You might say, like, I'm going to teach myself day trading and start doing that, or I'm going to become a crypto millionaire or whatever. Like, there's ways to do that. And if you want to hustle and start a business or whatever, like, set those big, hairy, audacious goals. So have the mundane, normal stuff. Have your sort of medium, middle of the road, like, oh, this would be nice to achieve and is very realistic. And then the big, hairy, audacious goals are like, man, I don't know if I can do this, but like, let's put it down and give it the old college try. Give yourself room and grace to not accomplish every one of the goals that you make. Do not beat yourself. Like I said, I didn't accomplish a lot of my goals from 2025 for a variety of reasons. Why? Fucking life happens. Okay, give yourself a little bit of grace. Understand that things are going to get in the way. You'll be able to overcome some of them, but not all of them. And some of the goals you might start the year being motivated about this one thing, like start jujitsu. And then you go roll a few times, go to a few, like, man, this ain't for me. I don't really enjoy this. Like, I got some big fucking hairy dude, like, all over. Like, maybe it's not your thing, you know? You might say, I want to go run an ultra marathon. And then you like get up to like doing 10-mile runs and be like, you know what? I think I'm going to call it a marathon because I don't really want to put my body through what it requires to do an ultra now that I've seen what it requires just to run a marathon. Those are okay to modify those and just not meet those. You know, there is a little bit of that mentality of like, shoot for the stars and you'll still land on the moon, or shoot for the moon and you'll still land on the stars. Whatever that analogy or that saying is, right? But like, so it's like, okay, it's like, oh, I want to lose 50 pounds and you only lose 25. Well, that's still fucking awesome. Congrats, you know, but give yourself grace and don't construct goals in a way that makes it so like, if you don't accomplish every one of these, you're going to feel like the year was a failure, an abject failure. Don't do that. All right. You know, write these down and hopefully this time next year, you'll be able to look at everything you did and all the effort that you put out and kind of just say like, that'll do, pig. That'll do. Pretty happy with how the year went. For me, I'm not particularly happy with how the year went, not because I didn't accomplish all my goals, because it's just some of the shit that happened. You know, it was too much, and particularly the second half of the year. And it's like, man, don't want to repeat that. You know, a little bit of what turned out to be a very Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde, you know, best of times and the worst of times, tale of two cities quote there. It was that sort of a year. First half was amazing. Second half was largely, with a few bright spots, for the most part, very shitty for me. And so I'm looking into the future here, into 2026, and be like, man, subject matter experts going well. I'm enjoying the hell out of interviewing people. I'm starting the Marty party here to have my own little, you know, just me talking to the camera here, connecting with an audience on a more personal level. I'm working on an amazing book. I've got other writing projects too. You know, I'm taking a stab at Substack and some of these other things. And, you know, lifting is going well. I'm on, like I said, I got a full blood panel earlier this year that gave me a lot of answers. And so my life is improving in many different ways. And it's going to lead me to accomplishing some of my goals, like losing more weight, becoming more healthy, becoming the type of person that can say without feeling embarrassed that, yeah, I'm a former Army Ranger. You know, like I take pride in the things that I did in the past. But right now, when I look in the mirror, I feel embarrassed to say that I did some of the things in the past. And I don't want you to take this as like I'm in horrible shape. I've hiked Mount Kilimanjaro twice. It's a lot harder on me than it should have been because it's heavier than I should have been. You know, a lot of those things, but I need to be healthier. And I turned 40 in 2026. I got to quit fucking around, you know, and get serious about my health. And so that's a big one. But those, you know, laying that groundwork in 2025 was really important. So it's part of this is going to be building on some of the bright spots of 2025. So 2026 is going to be good. If you haven't wrote your goals down, start with some themes, tinker around with a few different categories that I gave you there, write your goals down, and then go out there and try to knock them out. Okay. You're going to feel better about your year at the end of the year if you've been able to accomplish a few goals. You'll be proud of yourself. You'll set a good example. If you've got kids, setting a good example for your kids. You'll be a better partner to your girlfriend, boyfriend, spouse, whatever. Like, goals are a good thing. Set them, go after them.
It's a Marty party.